Yes, we are in the final capstone here of what I hope has been a remarkable 2 days, 2.5 days. And we have what we believe is going to be just an amazing closing for you. So let's get it started. Please come on down. You guys can go ahead and come up here. Let's give people about another minute to get in. Yeah, all right, thank you, call them in. I have one more kind of thank you that I'd like to do. Let me see, Anna, are you around with your cameras somewhere? Anna Min, who is from Min Photography here in Minnesota, who's been with us the whole time, and I think any of these great pictures you've seen came from her, and you'll see many more of them as time goes on. I am going to turn it over to Kevin at this moment. Kevin?
So hi, Kevin Mills. I'm here with Tyler Norris, and we're here to give thanks. But Tyler thinks it's thanks in his magnanimous way to all of you and the staff for their amazing work and all of that. But actually, we're starting with thanks to Tyler.
Bait and switch, bait and switch.
And for that, we actually have a video, do we not? Is it? We're waiting. Oh, we're trying to get more people in. Okay. So you're just going to twist in the wind here.
I'm twisting.
Well, yeah. But so there we go. There's Kate. Kate's here and Kate's there.
She's everywhere.
Yeah. And right. But Tyler has just been so critical to this movement. Has done so much to drive it, to help this event come to be in the first place, and to help grow it. And so we have a little video in a minute, right? That will, yeah, please. That will show you what you mean to us all.
Hi,
Okay.
Tyler.
We got a thumbs up.
I just wanted
We're
to
out.
offer some words of appreciation. So here they are.
Tyler, this is Vanessa of Girl Trek, and Morgan. We are here with our entire national staff. We can't think of a better person to thank right now.
Listen, Tyler, we started with 2 of us, just friends. Now we're 100,000 walkers all across the country, and it is so much due to the support that you gave us early on with Kaiser Permanente and the entire team. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
Tyler, you are an inspiration. Thank you for helping to build the walking movement.
We appreciate all of your efforts to make our communities safer places to walk and be active. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you, Tyler Norris, for being the catalyst behind growth of the walking movement. Your inclusive vision and capacity building enabled new partnerships to blossom that are diverse, potent, and resilient. A personal thanks for entrusting Rails to Trails to form the Partnership for Active Transportation to lead policy initiatives, and for having America Walk serve as the hub for the Everybody Walk Collaborative and encouraging me to step up as co-chair. Your impact has been truly transformative.
Tyler, on behalf of the Center for Prevention at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota, I want to congratulate you on your upcoming transition. You have been the standard bearer for this work that we are all so passionate about. Your leadership and your vision have set the bar high for all of us to follow around advancing health equity and transforming our communities to be healthier. My colleagues and I have been grateful to be on this path with you for a number of years, and we very much wish you the best of luck in your upcoming adventures.
Thank you for your vision of a walkable America, your amazing ability to bring together a group of people from across the country who believed in that vision with you, but perhaps most of all for your gentle and kind leadership that kept us focused and united as we got the walking movement going. We will keep walking the walk.
Thank you, Tyler.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Whitehead, the CEO of the American College of Sports Medicine. Tyler, we want to thank you so very much. You've done remarkable things, from walking to public health to social good. Nelson Mandela said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." From me and the American College of Sports Medicine, thank you so much for making the impossible done.
You helped create healthier communities.
You helped make the U.S. safer for walking.
You helped us all be better leaders.
Thank you, Tyler.
Hi, Tyler. I've had the privilege of decades of working with you on various topics, and I just want to thank you for believing in America Walks and giving us, a small, scrappy organization, an opportunity to be a leader with the Everybody Walk Collaborative and with the walking movement. We wish you the most luck and know that your next journey is going to be really incredible, and we hope we get to walk with you on it. Thank you and best of luck.
Can I say a couple of words?
Oh boy, bait and switch. I have all my thank yous for everybody else. Thank you, that was really beautiful, and it really touched me. I don't take any of this for granted. We're each given a little whisper of what our path is. And I've chosen at times to pay attention to it and to listen to the little voice that says, that's the thing to do. That's the place to go. That's the place to take all the privilege, all the relationships, all the gifts, all the moment, and lean in to something that's worthy of our lives. And all I've done is trying to rise to the call, and I'm just so moved by the fact that every place I learn, every place I turn in a country that struggles so much in so many places, that there are so many people rising to their own voice, their own call, their own sense of what they can do to be who they are. I didn't plan to think about this, but it reminds me of a statement of Robert Thurman, who said, "Don't ask what the world needs. Of course, pay attention to it. But ask what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs is people who've come alive." So with that, thank you very much for a very beautiful acknowledgement. Am I supposed to get to thank everybody?
No.
I don't get to do that?
No, not
Oh,
you got to do the call to
you.
action. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Tyler. All right. So now.
I don't get to thank everybody.
Okay.
I do get the stage. I
Okay.
do want to just say something. And I want to particularly point it at this person right here, Kate Kraft, because I can't help it. I got to start working with Kate at Active Living when you were leading Active Living by Design. When did you all start that at Robert Wood Johnson? 1999, Kate's leadership. And when we think about active living, place-based work, policy systems and environmental change, there is not a leader in this country who says, of course. All I want to remind you is that it wasn't of course back in 1999. Kate's leadership and who she brought together, including all of us, we were joking about, we're just Kate's lieutenants standing behind her. is due to this extraordinary woman, which is why I am with you with Wellbeing Trust. We're all with you wherever we go next. Walking is the most important thing for the future well-being of this country. Thank you, Kate.
All right. All right, so now we're at the moment you've all been waiting for, which is the call to action for the conference, for the walking movement. We are all collectively, and some of our friends who couldn't be here today are the walking movement, and we need to be working together actively, individually, and collaboratively to make things change. And so we have been through a months-long process we'll do the next slide there. Oh, I actually can make it happen. There we go. We're not going to read this slide. I'm not going to ask you to read it. I'm not going to read it. But this is what you saw on your app yesterday if you took the poll. And I just want to give you a sense of the process that went behind that. There were actually months of consultations among the America Walks board, among several different arms of the Everybody Walk Collaborative. And then yesterday, the America Walks board program session was basically a focus group where a number of folks gave incredible input on this, and it actually changed what went into this list and what went into your app in real time. And then we got all that wonderful input from 120 some of you yesterday through that app poll. And so all of that is going into two things. One is the call to action you're about to hear, but the other is also what the America Walks board is going to talk about in terms of the strategic direction of the organization. And that's going to start right after the conference this afternoon. And we're going to be processing all that great input we've gotten from all of you and using it to figure out how we plug into all of these priorities. But what we're going to talk about now are the priorities that we collectively and individually all should be thinking about going forward. And I want to start with two that are internal to the movement, right? Just the ways we can do that good housekeeping so that we have a healthy, vibrant, strong movement. And there were two things that really rose to the top here. We have to be thinking about the state and local capacity we have to be successful on the ground, and we have to build advocacy networks as part of that. And obviously, an America Walks can help with that at the national level, reaching out to all of you, using its broad online network and all of its relationships with all of you to make a contribution to that. But you also need to be thinking about that back home. How can you strengthen your own organization? Who can you be working with? And so on. And in that regard, the second issue is strategic partnerships to increase our influence. We have wonderful relationships built in this room, and it crosses disciplines. Obviously, we see very strong health representation at this conference, very strong transportation representation, and lots of others. But we want to be thinking strategically going forward. Can we be working with housing advocates? Can we be working with real estate? And a number of others we all could mention that we maybe aren't working with as systematically as we could. And those are ways we're going to strengthen this movement going forward. All right, so now I want to get at three external focuses for our work going forward that we should all share. We all have to care about safety, right? This is a time of tragic number of pedestrian fatalities. Over 5,000 people die because of traffic fatalities as pedestrians in this country every year. And that's rising at an alarming rate. And so it's really a moral imperative that we tackle that issue. And the moral imperative is not just the number of tragedies, all those people dying, but it relates to what we've been talking about in terms of equity. In Boston, Wendy was telling me they're finding that the number of pedestrian injuries due to traffic violence was 3 times as high for the African American community as for the white community. And so it ties into all that discussion as well. And then Vision Zero is a movement in this country that's gaining energy and gives a really ambitious focus for the safety work for some who feel like that works for their community. And then speed reduction is something that can be part of a great Vision Zero initiative, but it is also something that's getting resonance at the federal level. There's a new federal report from the National Transportation Safety Board that gives credence to the importance of reducing speed. And so we could probably get some more focus there on the part of officials to help with that. So safety. Number 2, in terms of the external focus points, investment. Always investment. This is always on the list. You know, we all need funding. This is infrastructure. We need funding to build environments that are safe for walking. And that has we got to think about public and private investment to get that done. So that's always on the list. And then finally, and the one that got the most interest in terms of the poll we took yesterday is the equity issue. It's really important that we have an intentional focus on underserved communities, that we do everything we do with an empowerment lens, that we're thinking about community engagement, community collaboration, inclusion, that communities that are affected by our work or who need us to work with them, that we allow them to speak for themselves and that we follow their lead. And then finally, in terms of our own organizations, that we're thinking in terms of our cultural and linguistic competence to do that work. And so that we maybe have some work to do there as well. So those are the internal and external action points that you all focused on for yourselves and for everybody else in this room. And so we hope everybody can go out energized to pursue these things, and it's certainly something the Everybody Walk Collaborative will be having follow-up discussions about as well, as how do we take these things the next mile together. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Jill Chamberlain. I am proud to say I work for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota in our Center for Prevention. Prouder to say I got to be part of the host committee, and we're so grateful for all of you to be here. We hope you have had wonderful days here in St. Paul and a chance to learn, maybe sweat a little, surprisingly for September, and also feel challenged and maybe feel a little bit uncomfortable. We want to both experience radical hospitality, but we also, as we are challenging ourselves, realize we're gonna have to also feel a little bit of discomfort sometimes. One of the things with that call to action, I just wanna name, so for Blue Cross and Blue Shield, we have a goal around how we can advance health equity, not just in our externally facing community work, but also recognizing what we as a company do in our business practices, what we do in terms of how we support staff. We have one commitment. It is one piece of the puzzle, but it's around normalizing conversations of race. And so over this past year, and we're going to continue and build on it, we have regular conversations where we use the video series, Race, the Power of Illusion. It's a 3-part series. There's also study guides that go with it. It's all available online if you're interested. And we screen it. And then we have facilitated discussions, and we have been intentional with those discussions where it's staff who are facilitating it. And we try when we can to have both perspectives where someone facilitates who may be white and a person of color facilitates, and recognizing there's some different voices we always want to make sure we hear. And I will say, having done that and also been a facilitator, there are times it's very uncomfortable, and that need, I have to build my skills. I have to lean into that discomfort and realize that there are a lot of other people who hold that discomfort 24 hours a day, every day, wherever they go, and that my privilege is also part of holding that discomfort and maybe making it easier and a bit more inclusive, and that I grow in that. And so I'm grateful I have that opportunity, and that's just one thing. When they talk about getting culture or comfortable in the linguistics around race, we have to get in those conversations and be ready to step up, sometimes step back, and sometimes even shut up, and even if that feels rude, live with it, take it, and learn. With all that said, we hope that this conference has brought, or this work doesn't happen, I should say, without some joy and without humor. And we heard it yesterday loud and clear from all the speakers in the keynotes and how they used humor. And when we do that, our work's better. And so we invited Theater for Public Policy. I almost said Trust for Public Land. They're not funny. I mean, they're great. They're great. Great. Not funny. Theater for Public Policy. And I'm proud because they're local, but they do stuff nationally. And so if you like what you see, you should talk to Dane after. And they are just a great group of people, and they've been with us secretly throughout. And I believe they are going to occupy the record book for having the first breakout session that was asked to break out of the room and move someplace else so they weren't so loud. Anyway, so with that, Theater of Public Policy.
Hi, everybody. Hello, my name is, my microphone's not. Hi, everyone. I'm going to just talk Oh, look, I am on. Hi, everyone. My name's Tane Danger. I'm the host and the co-founder of the Theater of Public Policy. I like to start all shows by doing this. So by a round of applause, please applaud if you have never seen the Theater of Public Policy before. It is the most applause we get in a show. So what do? We typically in a show, we have some very smart people up on stage, and I'll talk to them, and then we have this team of amazing improvisers who brings everything that they've said to life through entirely unscripted improv comedy. And we're going to do that in the second half sort of this show. We're going to have a panel up on stage to help us debrief and think through a lot of the big themes and things we've talked about at the conference. But as was very generously introduced already, our cast has been here for the last 2 days, and they've been listening to the various keynote and breakout sessions, and they have gathered a lot of inspiration for a set of unscripted theater that they're going to do right now. The only thing, just before they jump up on stage, I'm going to ask is, there's all these people standing, and it makes us feel so much better if you come in. It's not church. You don't have to not sit in the front or wherever. You could come sit. I don't mean to shame you. Usually the people in the front of the room are worried that we're going to like draw them up on stage, but I flipped it, and we're shaming and they're not moving. That's fine. Whatever. So what are we going to do? I'm going to turn the stage over for the first 10 minutes here to the cast of the Theater of Public Policy. Everything that they do is entirely unscripted. It's all inspired by things that they and you have heard over the last 48 hours or so. It is entirely improvised. So be generous and make a big round of applause for the Theater of Public Policy.
I want to thank you deeply for all that you've done to change your apartment complex here. It's got more green space, pedestrian friendly, but I got to own up. I tricked you.
You tricked me. Tell me how.
I said it would lower your tenant turnover, and that's true, but actually I wanted more access. I wanted more people to be walking around, and I knew you wouldn't buy that.
Well, no, of course I wouldn't. They're going to wear out the indoor-outdoor carpet.
I know.
And what about the pool? I mean, people leave their coffee cups by the pool. And it's Minnesota, so the pool's only open for 4 days.
And you know that farmer's market you put in the parking lot?
Well, yeah.
I said you would be able to get some free vegetables every weekend.
Are you telling me I'm not getting free vegetables?
No.
I don't want cantaloupe. I don't like cantaloupe.
You're going to have to pay for it.
Wow. This doesn't seem very equitable.
I'm sorry, I'm just speaking to who you are. I'm trying to use words and language that resonate with you.
Yeah, I'm the building manager of this condominium complex. So.
And all the tenants view you as the enemy.
You know what? Why don't we tell them I'm a placemaker? Maybe that'll change things. Yeah.
All right.
Tell them I'm a placemaker.
Yeah.
What's going on, Brenda?
Oh, don't be upset. Don't be upset. It's okay. Everything's going to be fine.
I'm not okay. These are incomplete streets.
Okay.
They're incomplete.
Maybe if we put a sign up that said you can only walk for half the time.
Yeah. You can only sort of not really complete your commute.
I have a complete street plan.
What?
Yeah.
What? Have you been holding this the whole time?
It's taken me about 5 years, but yeah.
Marie, speak out!
This is incredible.
I know, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put an island in the middle of the street. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like that song, Islands in the Street. That's what we are.
I'm so glad that we moved to this zip code, but someday we're gonna have to leave the panic room.
I cannot leave the panic room.
I know.
I don't know what's happening out there.
I don't either, and I don't know that I want to know.
And I don't like to be uncomfortable.
We're just gonna have to hold it.
Well.
And by that I also mean we should have made this a more complete panic room. Look, why don't we go for a little walk, okay?
Oh, a walk?
In the panic room.
Oh, okay. That's better.
It is better.
If we could get our groceries delivered here, and if I could earn a living here, then this is where I shall stay.
Well, they said that this zip code had the longest life expectancy, but I think we're probably going to either starve or die from uremic poisoning.
That doesn't sound as bad as not knowing what's happening in the world.
I think you're right. I think we've made a good choice.
By the way, you're gonna need to take the dog out.
Oh, no!
I'm sorry. I can't take the dog out. If I take the dog out, then that means I'm gonna have to walk.
Okay, you're on your own.
Hi, welcome. It sure looks like you need a forest bath.
Yes, I do. And I'm also looking for walking signs. I'm from the city of Duluth.
Well, welcome. Well, here in the Forest Bathatorium Spa, we have everything you need. We have soaps that are really just pine cones. Over here, we have a bunch of trees, which you could certainly use as your walking signs.
Yes.
And don't forget a mud bath that's just actually a bunch of mud.
Oh, very nice. Oh, you have so many things. Do you also have, I think they're called bikes?
Of course we do. Of course we have bikes. It's just 2 stumps of trees that we cut down. You just sit on them and you just bathe and don't go anywhere at all.
Oh my God, that sounds so effervescent.
It is, and you're feeling better already.
I am.
Oh.
I can see it. I can see the future through my nose and my allergies.
That's exactly where the future is.
Yes,
in the forest.
So what about a hot spring?
Oh, we've got hot springs. Nature invented hot springs.
Oh,
it's
right.
in Minnesota, so they're not always hot.
You know what? What? Linda has changed. She went to Portland and she came back different. Just watch what she does. She's probably gonna walk all the way over to the buffet. Ugh. Watch what she chooses. She picks up the M&Ms and then she puts them back. Wow.
I'm not even looking at the same person. Are you sure it's her?
I don't know. Linda?
Oh, hi.
Wow,
I didn't see you there.
Yeah.
I was envisioning a better world.
Oh. Gosh, Linda.
Would you like some kale?
Wow, it's like a chip.
Yeah.
Does it hurt?
It hurts my soul. I'm sorry to say that here, but it's awful. So, Linda,
yeah.
I noticed that you're not using your parking space anymore.
Parking space? What is this, 2012?
I don't like what I'm hearing. It's making me uncomfortable.
Yeah, we have, and I don't like to sit in my discomfort. I like to sit in my car.
Parking space? That's like horse and buggy, you know? That's like, I can't even think about how old that is. It makes me sad.
Well, tell us how you got here.
How did I get here?
Yeah.
I actually flew with my body.
So you've evolved.
I've evolved. I've taken walking to the next level. You just have to believe in yourself.
I believe in myself.
So you think you could fly?
I'm sure I can fly.
Why didn't you do it?
Okay, here we go. Shoot. All right.
You look like you need a sit.
I do need to sit. I quit smoking, so I better do something else.
Yeah. You know,
God, this feels good.
the first sit is free. But if you want to sit all day for 9 hours a day and then go home and sit some more, I can arrange that.
Can you?
I can.
This is like naga hide on my bottom.
That's right.
I love it.
I can get you a nice position that even pays you to sit all day long.
Serious?
Maybe a corner cubicle. Maybe even a wrist brace for your hands.
Really?
An ergonomic computer.
An ergonomic computer, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, it'll create a stronger curvature to your spine as your head goes further into the screen.
I want to have some kind of soundproof barrier between me and my colleagues, except at the top, so that I can look at them when I'm voyeuristic.
We got a 6-inch carpeted wall that'll surround 3 sides of you.
Yes. with cat calendars,
Oh, wow.
plant calendars.
Oh, my gosh.
And a coworker that brings in sweet treats every single day.
Every day.
I want a vending machine. I want a vending machine.
Oh, we've got those.
This is the best place ever.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Here's a stress ball. It's as big as your chair.
Oh, can I
You
sit
can
on
sit
that
on
too?
that.
Oh
As
my
long
gosh.
as you can sit on it.
There you go.
That's what the world is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get too cozy. That's good for your abs.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, I'll just use it as a footrest.
There you go.
Oh, this is the best job ever, and it's meaningless too.
It's meaningless. We just want you to type and destroy your body.
Perfect.
That's good. They learned so much. That's great. Hey, we can pull these up a little bit. All right, so we're going to bring them back in a minute, but as promised, we're going to have, we have three amazing guests who are going to join us on stage and help talk through some of the things they've heard over the last 3 days, help us not only digest that, but think about all of us are going back into the real world tomorrow. This has been such a nice, wonderful time to spend with a bunch of people who share the passion and work that you all do every day. But tomorrow you're going to go back to a bunch of people who maybe don't know what Complete Streets means or Vision Zero. And so what do we do? How do we take the things that we've learned here and go home and bring them back out into the world? So to help us think through that, we have three, as I said, amazing guests. First up, Lidvina Rahman she's with Oregon Walks. Before that, some folks might know she was with the Willamette Pedestrian Coalition. Big round of applause. Hey, okay, good, yay. Next up, Charles Brown is a senior researcher at Rutgers University, very much wearing his researcher hat, I'm told today. Big round of applause. Have fun. And Tokes Omashakin is the Deputy Commissioner of Transportation, the Department of Transportation from beautiful Tennessee. Big round of applause. Yay! Okay, you all have to share. We have this one microphone for you all to share. So, So normally I wear much better shoes at a show, but I wanted to do the special shoelaces for the America Walks conference. So now I feel though informal. So, but I appreciate that I'm not the only person with a pocket square. No offense. Do you want my pocket square? Would that help? Okay. So good. Off to a good start. So I wanted to just start with this big opening question. We have time to dig into this more, but you've been here for the last 3 days. I don't think that this is your first Walk Summit rodeo. What has struck you over the last 48, 72 hours? What has surprised you? What has stuck with you? What are you still thinking about or is rattling around inside your head?
Ladies first.
What's still rattling around in my head is this term, the walking movement. I think looking at everybody here, we can talk about a movement of professionals and advocates, but what I'm not seeing is a movement among the general population, like the Bernie Sanders movement or the women's rights movement. And that's a problem in terms of actually getting people to walk, walking behavior. It's also a problem for advocacy organizations like Oregon Walks that used to have a membership funding model, and that's just not working. It's great that we have foundation support and all the stuff Kaiser and Blue Cross and all are doing, but a movement, I don't see it. I don't know if we should have a movement.
See, this is really interesting to me because I was in some sessions where folks were talking about, they were comparing sort of the walking and the bicycling. They're like, oh, bicyclists are so good at being sort of codified together. Somebody said they're a beleaguered minority, and I was like, maybe the walkers should be more beleaguered. And then we would feel more banded together. But so are you saying that, because I can see sort of two different ways of looking at this. On the one hand, maybe it's not as much of sort of a unified movement, but maybe that's because it's a different model. Everybody's a walker, and so it just looks different. I don't know. Do any of you have thoughts about that question of what does it look like in terms of a movement? Don't just roll your eyes. Just tell us.
Well, I have to respectfully disagree, of course. I think when you look out and you see the number of people that are here who are supporting this movement, who made this trip under dire circumstances from the South, given the hurricane, I think this is a movement. I think it is the beginning of a movement, but definitely a movement. I've seen a lot of people here who are unapologetically passionate about their roles in their communities. They're devoting their time, their resources, sacrificing time with family and friends to be here to say, I am a part of this movement, and I will be a part of this movement going forward. So I definitely see the love, the support, and the commitment to the walking movement as a whole here.
And yes, that seems like an applause line. That's good. Well, let me ask the question this way, maybe for all three of you, which is whether you feel this is the beginning of the movement, this is sort of we need to be more of a movement, whatever. What does that mean? I guess a lot of, folks came here, but there's not another one of these for 2 years. And so I think a lot of folks are like, okay, what do I do for the next 2 years to be part of the movement, to help the movement grow? Is there something I should be holding myself to in order for that to be true?
That's a very good point. But I think there are opportunities within all of our respective states to do this as well. And this is not the only event like this at all that happens across the country. So next year, everybody in the room probably knows Pro Walk, Pro Bike will be in New Orleans. It's a great place to attend.
You could just start walking from I-35 just down today, and you'd make it in time.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be there right on time. But there's so many other outfits like this. I'm on the board of America Walks, Charles and I. So we of course want to promote this particular event as the premier event for talking about walkability issues. But I mean, if you're looking for more things like this, they're definitely out there. But definitely look within your state as well for more opportunities like this to be engaged in a part of something that's bigger than your office or your particular organization.
So showing up and being at some events like this is part of it. What else? What else does it look like on the ground?
Well, following this panel, we have a room reserved out back to give everyone America Walk tattoos so that, just like the safety pin, we'll be able to identify you no matter where you are. Considering that we're looking towards the future, we're considering GPS chips as well. Just implanted. And just like the phone technology, wherever you go, these bings will go off, we'll know where you are. So I think if we get those, we could truly say we are a movement, right?
This turned dystopian really fast. So we've got showing up. We've got some version of the Hunger Games, and then. Do you want to pass that mic that way? Yeah. In terms of folks are thinking about it being part of a movement. What does that mean? I guess it's very easy to say, "Oh, we're part of a movement." I have the shoelaces. I have the button. But there's more to it, and I think that's what you were starting to get at the beginning there. Of what does it mean for this to be a movement, and how do folks show up for that?
Well, as I said, I'm not sure we need a movement. We need to just go out and walk with our friends, which I do all the time. Maybe it's because I'm from the Netherlands originally, and a lot of Dutch people are befuddled about this bike movement in the US, because we just go and ride, that's how we get to where we're going. And we walk and we use transit and we drive when that's the right mode for doing what we're doing. But Just do it.
But
I don't know that
historically-
we need a movement.
But historically, I'm sure you know the history of the Netherlands way better than I do. But my impression has been that there was a transition. The Netherlands had more places that were more car friendly at some point, and they transitioned to being more. We're going to have some of our cities be more bicycle pedestrian. Is that? No, I'm completely making that up.
No, that's totally true. It just depends on your historical perspective. So yes, there were no cars, a mere 150, 200 years ago. So historically, there were lots of very walkable places, and that's why we go to Europe, and that's what we love doing there. So there was a short time in the history of the world that there were cars, but there was a much, much longer time that they weren't.
Well, how did you keep that time so short, I imagine, is what a lot of people here are wondering, right? Because we got in the car thing about the same time, but we just couldn't drop the habit.
I'm not exactly sure, but I think the built environment had a lot to do with it. And there were places to walk to. And within walking distance, your daily needs. We still had the butcher and the baker on every corner. And that's the one thing that I haven't heard a lot about. Yes, we need complete streets, we need the infrastructure, but we really need complete neighborhoods where you can...
See, this is really interesting, and I want to bring you both into this. And this, one of our take-home things to do is this state and local capacity and strategic partnerships. So it seems like that's where some of this starts to show up, right? You have to think three-dimensionally, 360 degrees. It's not just about making the sidewalk wider, but it's about thinking about where do people live, what is the built environment like. That both is probably inspiring or exciting, and also probably like, oh my God, I have no idea how to get a butcher on my street. So, you work for a state. Does the Department of Transportation put butchers places? I don't know. Like, how does that work?
I'm going to work on that when I get back.
Okay, good. How do you start? Where do folks going home? Where do we start with some of thinking about this more three-dimensionally? Thinking about who are the different partners that we need to be reaching out to than we have before.
I think we as a group, as a movement, I think we're growing a lot in understanding the different variables and the different players that are key to getting the success that we want to have. When Kate and Tyler were working on this, many years ago, a lot of the focus probably was on we need to get a sidewalk built, we need to get a bike lane built, and the work has transitioned so much more beyond building a facility to here are all the players that we need to be getting at the table, and here are why all these other pieces are so important and they matter so much to what we're trying to get done. So I think, state DOTs are a big hurdle for many of the folks in the room today, and I happen to work at one and lead it, one of the leaders there, and it's a slow transition for us. It's a slow move. I used to work at this. I was the first bike ped coordinator in the state of Tennessee many, many years ago, and I've transitioned into state government. And I thought when I got into state government, I was going to be able to walk in the room and be like, hey, all you engineers, here's what you need to be doing. And you better get on board or else. And
how did that go?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can I tell some stories?
No, yeah.
No. But I've learned so much about how much of how diplomatic and strategic you have to be to make that change happen.
Can you give us, I know that it's a big question because it depends on the project and it depends on the goal, but
sure.
Again, is there an example you can give or a good first step, like in terms of how to start working with maybe a state agency or something? Do you have, okay, Mike?
Well, I want to answer your previous question about what could be done first. Yeah. First, we have, I think, an identity/language crises within the walking movement. We don't have a common language that we're currently speaking about. There's disagreement and confusion around the term equity, even though it was probably mentioned more than any other term here. So what we need to do is come up with a common language. We need our own language. We do need those tattoos too. But we need that language so that when we're going about in this movement, we're all saying things the same way. What we also need to do is break down professional and personal silos. We need to better understand the intersectionality with the walking movement when it comes to health, when it comes to housing, when it comes to gender, politics, et cetera. We need to break through these silos, work together, and understand that we're all working for one purpose, which is to save lives and give people a better quality of life. So if we can do that first, develop this terminology, then I think it will be the first step in creating a movement that is sustainable over time.
You were grabbing
Oh. Definitely agree with the common language and building the relationships. But I wanted to put in a plug. Yes, I am from Portland. I love envisioning and all that, and kale. Not really. But my day job is with the Oregon Department of Transportation, and I am a land use and transportation planner. And in Oregon, everything starts with land use. Not environmental quality. We don't have a CEQA. The program I've been working in for the last 20 years is called Transportation and Growth Management. And we give grants to local jurisdictions, cities, counties, MPOs, transit agencies, to do integrated land use and transportation planning or pure transportation planning, but it always has to be to make walkable, transit-supportive, bikeable places. So I get to do this every day. I've been doing it since '93, and I think it's a wonderful first step, and everybody should be doing it.
Everybody should be giving away money to do it. I would
Federal
love to.
transportation dollars.
I have a step before that where I need the money to give it away, maybe.
Federal transportation dollars that could have been spent on, it's SPR dollars, so they could have been spent on planning, and the end product is a plan, not a sidewalk, not a road. But yeah, federal transportation dollars. FHWA approved it in '93.
I'm looking at my cast. Are you writing it down? Because we need some of those federal highway dollars for improv shows. I want to make sure we devote a good chunk of time here to talking about this language piece, and particularly this equity piece, because it was such a big focus yesterday and the day before, and it is broad and it is hard, and I think it was very well pointed out yesterday. It's something that we love to say, and I feel like without maybe knowing exactly what we're saying. So I guess I don't know what to say other than, help us think, if we are going to go out and say this is a value that, the walking movement has, that it is equitable. We can say that, and somebody will say, well, what do you mean by that? And we'll say, I have to go walk somewhere. Or how do we what do we say, what should we be saying or trying to figure out how to answer that question?
Oh, everyone's handing me the mic on that one. If you're asking how do we define equity, for me it's quite simple. What it is giving people what they need in order to be their best selves and to live their best life. Here are my glasses. Do you need them?
No, but I want them.
Well, you don't need them, so I need them.
Oh, okay.
So that was an equitable distribution. You didn't need the glasses, so why should I give it to you? I did, so that's equity by definition. You've just provided me with the glasses I need to live a healthy, sustainable life. Simple as that. So I think people want to make it so vague and so broad, and most of that has to do with the fact that there are negative connotations associated with equity. Depending on where you are, how you vote, you tend to think that equity means giving people of color something for free. And what it truly means is understanding that there has been historic and traditional disinvestments in their communities, and they are so far behind that you're trying to simply catch them up. You get it? So I think we need to understand the history, which is a big part of this, too many of us have been miseducated or uneducated about how communities have come to be. And because of that, we can't have enough empathy to create these equitable environments. So we have to look internally, externally, and build with the people who understand that language. And for those who don't, just run over them. Not literally.
I'll take it down a notch and tell you a little bit about Oregon Walks. So when I was on the board, this issue of equity was a big thing, and the mission says to make Oregon a safe and pleasant place to walk for everyone, and that included the disabled and the old and the young and minorities, non-whites, everybody. And I've been observing over the years what that meant and how we implemented that, which was primarily engaging with local and regional organizations that represent various populations who are not white and middle-aged. So our board is looking a lot different right now. And the positions we've taken have been true to that mission. Just this last week, we submitted a letter to the Portland City Council. They're in the process of adopting a central city plan, and they have this bright, shiny new thing, which is the green loop, creating a continuous active transportation loop within the central city. And our letter said, yeah, that's great, but we need a green loop around Lentz, which is one of the low-income minority neighborhoods, and we don't want this bright, shiny new thing in the downtown where all the white people work and a few can afford to live, be the thing that gets the investment first. And that was a hard position to take. We were criticized for that, and we were applauded for that.
Thank you.
Same issue. So when I attend these events, I'm always trying to think about the different hats that I wear as a board member and as a DOT practitioner. And when I think about the DOT side of things, my work, again, it's very challenging to look at the equity piece and try to bring it into an organization like ours. And I'm just being very transparent about this. We don't make decisions at our organization by looking at equity. And this
at the Department of Transportation.
At the Department of Transportation, yeah, and this probably goes for many organizations, many state DOTs. The voice of the community in general is very important. We get a lot of community input, a lot of community buy-in into decisions we're making, but we rarely ever say, okay, these are the people that are underserved. How can we give a higher priority ranking to these places that have not been invested in as much? Bringing that into the mix is, boy, that's a tough one. And I think it's a place that I think we need to eventually get to as a state and even nationally at the federal government level as well.
See, I really like the way, yes, another good applause line. But this is why I really like the way that you helped us think through how to frame and talk about equity, is looking historically, looking at where places have been underserved. Because a lot of times I do think that, equity gets to be a very politicized word, and it immediately sort of puts some folks on the defensive. Oh, you're saying I'm inequitable or whatnot. Or it becomes this sort of mystery cloud. Oh, we need to make equity happen, and I don't know how. And so in either case, whether it's I'm defensive or I want to do it but I'm just confused, that's not particularly helpful. Where if you're looking at it from this more perhaps historic perspective, it actually, to me at least, comes down to the beginning steps are very simple things like going and meeting people, right? Like you were saying, once upon a time, there weren't cars in places, we used to be out in our neighborhoods and communities more and talking to folks and whatnot. It seems like there's really simple ways to maybe start building some of these bridges that then get us to those places. No, or is it more complicated than that?
I think it's a little bit more complicated than that, and I'll let my fellow panel members add to this. But part of the challenge that I keep thinking about as I've sat through these sessions and all the discussions we've been having is, okay, so let's say I go out and talk to folks in the community and I say, okay, now I think we need to prioritize this more. So when we start making those investments, then the discussion that we've all been having is the displacement issue and the gentrification issue that also is an after effect or that happens when you make those investments. So there's so many more layers to this, because when that displacement starts happening, we know what happens to that community. It's no longer what it was originally like. So are there discussions we need to be having beyond just talking to the folks in the community? But do I, as a DOT guy, need to be talking to the Planning Commission, the housing folks, to say, hey, we're about to put bike lanes, streetscape, we're about to make all these investments here. Are there some inclusionary zoning requirements that you can put in and say, hey, if this place redevelops, certain X amount of percentage needs to be for affordable housing, whatever.
Right.
So but I think it's an important step to have that discussion with the folks in the community. But there's so much more. There's so many layers to this issue, and I don't want to.
No, I 100%. And yes, I want to hear. I guess I'm trying to think through. If again, folks are walking out of here. How do you get started? Where do you're going back to your community, your city, your town, your organization, and you're thinking, wow, that seems really hard and big. I don't want folks to walk away feeling overwhelmed. I want there to be some first steps to get to where that is. So you were grabbing the mic, or
I don't know if that gets to what you're asking, but we're all doing different things. Definitely the engagement has to happen, and some of us have to learn how to do that. But some of it is technical. For example, because we use federal money, every grant we give has language in it that says you will map your populations and learn who they are, and you will design your public involvement around the population that's relevant in your planning area, and you will give them meaningful opportunities to give meaningful input. Don't just present to them. So that is actually standard operating procedure. Investment criteria and processes, who gets to make the decisions and what's the basis for the criteria. And even something as technical as performance measures, which can be system performance measures or investment prioritization criteria. If all you're doing is looking at PM peak vehicle traffic, you're never going to get there. For one, not everybody works, not everybody's in a vehicle, and the trips that matter to the populations that we want to be inclusive of may not be work trips. And most likely, only 2 out of 10 trips is a work trip. So.
Is a big part of this then starting, whether it's talking to people in the community, but then it sounds like also part of what you're saying is finding the allies or folks who are in a place like state government or at an organization or at a university who can actually start helping implement some of these things and whatnot.
Yeah, I want to take a different approach. I want to put on my military hat here, because I think it's that serious. I mean, personally, this is personal. I don't want to talk about how difficult it is. People are dying every day. What's more difficult than seeing your family member, your friend, or your neighbor being killed or run over or experiencing these disparities that most of us wouldn't dare get next to? Listen, people lack political and personal courage to do what's right. We need to just call it what it is. Yes, it's difficult to get things done, but it's being done for those who have the power to get it done for non-communities of color. Why are there sidewalks, why are there streetlights in other communities, but they're not in low income and communities of color? It's because these people have access to political power and they're able to get things done, whereas those who say they are about equity publicly, privately are not. So they lack the personal and the professional courage to put their necks on the line to fight for the least of these. So my call to action is, if you're serious about it, be willing to sacrifice and risk your own well-being for those who are already dying for the injustices that are in their community. So I don't really want to talk about what's hard. Just go out and do it.
So I got. I love Charles's exuberance. He gets really excited about these things. I'm very practical about how to get these things done. Look, there was an organization, Walk Bike Nashville. Just to give a quick example, when I first started doing this work 17 years ago, somebody from Walk Bike is probably here. Way back in the days, I remember how they were pushing Nashville. I was working for the city of Nashville. They were pushing Nashville to do more. Get a sidewalk plan, get a bike plan, do all these things. And they were beating up the mayor in the newspaper, just killing him, saying, look, you got to do this, you got to do this. And, I mean, you don't have the guts to make the right decisions. And it was going nowhere. When they changed their strategy a little bit to praise a little bit more publicly and criticize privately behind the scenes and say, hey, you got to do this. Here's what it means to our community. The tide started to turn a little bit. If you just go out there and I'll be doggone it, we better, I promise you, if you come to my DOT and that's your approach, you're getting nowhere. Our organization's been around for 102 years. We have a set way of doing things. I've learned this myself. When I came in the door again, I thought, hey, I used to be the bike ped guy for the city of Nashville. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to get everybody straight. Yeah, right. Now, look, you have to be very smart and strategic and figure out, okay, what do engineers really want? These guys that are charged with building these big old highways, what do they really want? So whatever it is that their goal is, how do I, in a roundabout way, still help them achieve their goal? But my mission, what I'm really focused on and interested in, creating more walkable communities, whatever it may be, I can get there while still, they somehow achieve what they're after.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to respond to that because I think it's important. I'm certainly not advocating for not using tact and strategy to stroke the elected officials' egos. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, though, is that this is very serious and it needs to be treated as such. And what we do know is that whoever runs whatever state DOT, they were in an appointed position. This movement, we have votes. We can vote for people who support this movement, who can go in and transform the culture at whatever DOT we're talking about. So this is not hard. This is strategic, and he is right. You have to have your approach and your strategies down, but it's possible.
Okay, I want to get this is the last word. So because we've heard a couple really good take homes. So,
well, I don't necessarily want to have the last word, but
too bad.
I think we need we need all of that. We need to work from the inside and from the outside. We need to address underlying interests and do interest-based negotiations and all that good stuff, understand where the engineers are coming from and where the public health people are coming from and all that. But we also need the advocates to say, enough is enough. This is just ridiculous. Look at all these fatalities and serious injuries and, this thing about how you set speeds, that one's near and dear to my heart. I mean, pointing to this green book and that purple book and all, let's just, we're never going to get there if we're going to try to do it from the inside, frankly, so.
On that wonderful note to end on, can we do a tremendous round of applause for this wonderful panel? We're going to take our seats back in the audience here. Thank you all so much. Thank you. That was great. Thank you. Oh, thank you. 2 microphones now. So don't all rush for the exits because we're going to bring the cast of the Theater of Public Policy back on stage. There's a couple people who are excited about that. So just like before, everything they do is entirely made up. This is all inspired just by this conversation and some of the other stuff that they heard over the last few days. So please, one more time, a round of applause for the Theater of Public Policy.
Next, hop up on the chair.
Okay.
All right. Which tattoo do you want? Do you want the pedestrian or the bike?
Ooh,
And make a choice. It's going to define which movement you're a part of.
I'm just a little bit more multimodal than that.
So maybe one of those buses that's got the bike rack on the front?
Yeah, but also some walking shoes. And sometimes I do a car share. Don't tell anyone.
Oh. You know, I can just do them all up and down.
Yeah, I like that. And
Some people have been getting that.
Well, I would like that as long as people then can see me when I'm crossing the street. Anything to help pedestrian visibility.
Oh, you want reflective ink?
Yeah,
I can do that.
yes, please.
All right.
Okay.
So
wait a second, who's paying for this?
Oh, America Walks. They're covering them all.
Oh, perfect.
Honey, I'm concerned that we didn't teach our kids to walk. And look at them just rolling around, and there's. I mean, she's 17. It used to be that look at the Dutch. They taught people to walk, and they remembered.
I told the school district that I thought it was a good idea if we just had the buses drop them off.
Well, they drop them up. Yeah, but they just roll. Look at her. She's 22 and she doesn't even have a job yet. I think we made a mistake. I think we just got so head up on our car stuff.
Too much roll in our walk, roll, and stroll.
Yeah, you're right.
It's all right.
Come on, use your. These are your legs.
I know. And you have feet.
Yeah.
They go forward and backward, side to side.
This is like a language where it's harder to learn as you get older, I guess. You know. Honey.
Yes.
Yeah. Mom and I want to go to dinner, and in order for us to do that, you have to be able to at least get on the couch so you don't roll out the door. So.
It's comfortable up here. We have a sectional.
So, I want to start a new movement called Walking is Good for Everyone, or Wig Fee.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does the fee imply that this costs money? Is it wig fee?
It's like an acronym. I'm trying to come up with a common language. Okay. Equity is good. That's ego.
Oh, that sounds a lot like Eggos.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
I like waffles.
Yeah, waffles are great. Wag.
Oh, I like it.
I like that. I can get behind that.
I love it. Waffles are great. We can invite the dogs. Dogs love wagging.
Yeah.
I say if you have chicken with your waffles, that's equity too.
Yes. Chicken with your waffles. CYY.
Yeah.
I think we're on to something here. I think that if we all get our TLMs together with the PTWs and our wig fees learn how to pop towel, then we are going to have this thing figured out. Yes.
Can I sign up to IRB?
I think so.
I'd like to make a suggestion. I have some anecdata that
I love anecdata.
I do too. What I heard is we have to make just the entire concept more sexy.
Yes. So just say it like, hey, I'm with wig fee.
Members of the media, thank you for coming to this press conference.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So the city of Minneapolis has recently announced we are a Vision Zero city. But due to some pushback, we are going to be the first city in order to do this. How, you might ask?
How?
With 100% enforcement. Pedestrians are now banned in the entire city. All sidewalk assessment fees will go into a fund. Every citizen will get a golf cart that they will ride to, and yes.
Does this include St. Paul?
No.
Thank God.
It does not include St. Paul.
I'm glad. I
So
live
do your walking over there.
I will. But not on Ford Parkway. It's a mess.
No, not on Ford Parkway.
That's an inside joke for people who aren't here.
No one got that. It's all right.
Thank you. Go on.
The assessment fee, yes.
Will we incorporate the light rail?
Of course. The light rail will now jump off the tracks occasionally. It will need to expand its route so it's no longer fixed. I'm just kind of spitballing here. I'm just making it up as I go along. Yes, again.
Spitball, is that like a rubber band ball? Unpacking the stories?
Yes, a metaphor.
Okay.
I'd like to get off my knees.
Yeah, stand,
Oh,
please.
But am I going to get arrested for this?
As part of this announcement to get people acclimated, I've invited some horses to attend the meeting. Everyone will get a horse to their vehicle. But then you must turn in the horses when you're finished.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm afraid of horses.
There are no more questions. I have somewhere to be.
Woo! Wow! Oh, I keep hearing so much about active transport. I
Yeah.
just feel so active, like my Fitbit is just calculating all these points every time I say active.
That's amazing. Well, you know what? Motion is lotion.
You bet it is. You bet it is. Ooh.
The other thing too is, I've been doing the walking school bus, and it's been such a great success that I'm going to start some other kind of walking buses.
Oh, I would love them. The more you say walking, the more calories I burn.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The bus driver just dropped me off a half a mile from school.
Well, get walking.
Oh, wow.
This is ridiculous. I'm writing a strongly worded letter to all the adults in America.
Oh!
It's okay. She won't learn cursive.
Oh, but that's a great grammar
Yeah.
exercise.
Okay.
Oh.
But I was thinking, so we have walking school buses. Why don't we have the walking casino bus?
Oh, that sounds great.
For the older folks.
They can keep fit and indulge their habits.
Yeah, so like we'll meet at a parking lot, which
Okay.
will turn into a green space eventually.
Please.
And then we can all go to the casino together. It'll take a few days, but if we have some trail mix and almond milk, we should be on top of it.
Oh, sounds great.
Yeah.
That's not just active transport, you're proactive transport.
Oh, wow, thank you.
You're just really thinking of things.
I am.
I mean, I could get on instead of garbage trucks picking up the garbage, we could just all carry our garbage 4 miles to the dump.
I like that. And I'm going to turn all those segways into potted plant holders.
Yes!
Yeah.
Very nice.
Because they look silly.
Oh, they do look very silly. I want to turn golf carts into just legs, and that's how golf is played. Just on your legs.
Well, that's absurd.
I'm so sorry.
So this is a computer generation of what the neighborhood can look like. Yes, it's beautiful.
nice.
There's kittens on every corner, rolling sidewalks, plenty of light, lots of butchers. Over here is Plan B. So we're just gonna paint some stuff, make it look a little better. So there's the good Plan A, or we'll just repaint the lines we have. Let's vote. Okay, that's cool. We'll just paint the lines. That's awesome. I mean, I should have mentioned there was, okay.
Can I get all my butchers, please? Butcher what? Oh, hi.
Oh, my goodness. Look at that.
We're going to have you, let's try the corner of 42nd and Snelling.
That's great. There's a lot of lamb over there.
Yes. Diversify this city.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Butcher number 2.
Yes.
You're a little late, but that's okay.
Sorry, just couldn't
All
get
right.
over here fast enough.
Let's get you over, Portland.
Oh,
Corner of Portland and 52nd.
it's gonna be rough. Not
It's
a lot
all
of
right.
meat over there.
It's okay. It's about equity.
Yeah.
All right. Any more butchers out there? Hey! How are you?
I'm a white woman with a little tiny dog. I
All
want
right.
to gentrify.
Yes.
Where can I go?
Let's ship you to Chicago. Yes.
Hi, I'm a brand new bike route. I don't know where I should be placed.
This is for butchers only.
I'd like a bike route by my place. I would. It's lonely being a butcher over here.
And it's lonely being a bike lane. The only people interested in me are fancy downtown rich people.
Wait a minute. I have an idea. What about a butcher truck?
A butcher truck, like a walking butcher school bus.
Yes.
We'll walk and we'll just hack the meat to bits with every step.
Every bicyclist will have a piece of meat.
Every bicyclist and pedestrian can have a piece of meat.
Awesome.
I'm going to stand on a skateboard and I'm going to totally eviscerate this cow while you pull me.
That sounds perfect. I've never felt so important in my whole life.
That's 4-H, baby.
Yeah. All right, well, here we go. I'm just going to hook up here and wait.
Here we go.
Let me get the produce, which is a big old dead cow. Ready? Let's go.
Here we go.
That's the Theater of Public Policy. I left my microphone down on the thing over there. That's so nice. Look at that. That's great. Thank you all so much. You all take it back. I want to say thank you all so much for being here. We're the Theater of Public Policy. We really appreciate the work that you all do and getting to share just a little bit of what we do with you. So thank you all so much. I'm going to turn it back over to Kate Kraft. Yay!
Don't worry, I can wait.
What a great way to end on a wonderful smile. Before we leave, though, we all owe the America Walks staff, and please stand up. I tried to get them to come to the stage, but they refused. Heidi, Emily, Susan, Jean. Where is the other Susan? She's hiding, Susan. Absolutely, if you enjoyed any of this time, you have them to thank. So I hope you've gotten some good lessons. You've learned a few things. You're going home inspired. And let's keep making this world a great place to walk. We'll see you in 2019.